Donald Trump has been cashing in on his properties because many of the Republican events are held at his properties. And so Quartz did an analysis of how much money Trump Properties has made through these political events, and the numbers are pretty giant. So let's start with little numbers. The Republican National Committee, pro-Trump super PACs, and Republican political candidates spent almost $100,000 at the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. during the first quarter of 2019 alone. And this is based on Quartz's review of FEC filings. Now, let's look at some bigger numbers. The latest expenditures at the Trump Hotel bring total spending by GOP entities, including Donald Trump's own re-election committee, to about $4.7 million at Trump hotels, restaurants, and golf courses since he was elected.
That doesn't even include the campaign. That's since he was elected. And so now, to me, the most important part of the story was, yes, but how much did they spend before Trump started running for office? So if it's 4.7 million after he's elected, but it was, let's say, 4.5 million before he was elected, that's not a story. It turns out they're spending money at the Trump hotels because they're good hotels, right? So, well, before 2015, political spending at Trump-owned properties never exceeded $77,922 in a single 2-year election cycle, according to Quartz. So before Trump starts running for office, they spend $77,000 at his properties. After he gets elected president, voila, $4.7 million. No, gigantic difference. Obviously, that's done to make the president very happy. And he knows that money is being spent there, and he has not done a blind trust. He handed it off to his kids. He knows exactly the people who are, sending money into his pocket.
Right, and he's used his position as a way of cashing in, and this is, in my opinion, a small example of it. And this is why it's important to see his tax returns, because you want to know whether these conflicts of interest are going even further and even deeper, and if he's using the office of the president in order to benefit from his own businesses, right?
And can I just tell you, of course he is. Of course he's Donald Trump. He has no subtlety. He doesn't do nuance. So he's like, well, if you stay at my hotels, I'm more likely to listen, right? So voila, everybody's staying at his hotel. That's just the Republicans. Remember, the Saudis switched as soon as Trump got elected. They were gonna stay at, they had this huge event, they were gonna stay at another hotel, and they're like, no, we went the Trump hotel. And they switch over, and then he goes, I like the Saudis. Before he was elected president, he had once said, well, the Saudis, I like them a lot. They spend $40 to $50 million on my apartments. What's there not to like? He's brazen about it. Now, when you're president, though, it's a different ballgame. You're supposed to represent us, the American people, not yourself. So God knows what's in those tax returns. I mean, 4.7 million. What favors did he do for the Saudis, or the Russians, or anyone else, right? Or Turkey, or Israel? You would know it potentially in his tax returns.
Right.
And those could be way higher numbers.
Exactly.
This is just out in the open corruption.
Exactly, and also in 2015 to 2016, I just want to give more details in how much money these properties took in and at what time. So as Cenk had mentioned, 2015 to 2016, while the election is happening, the properties took in about $13,530,000, 98.6% of which came from Trump-related committees, per data compiled by the Center for Responsive Politics. Then in 2017 to 2018, Trump Properties took in about $4.5 million, 34% of which came from Trump-related committees, 36% came from the Republican Party. So this is a lot of money that's coming into Trump Properties because of Republican-related activities and events that are happening at his properties. And why are they happening at his properties other than the fact that he's the president of the United States?
They weren't happening at his properties before, only $77,000, right? Now all of a sudden, 13.5 million, 4.7 million. So one more thing about the Trump committees. You might say, well, Trump's running his campaign. He wants to hold all the events at Trump properties and then charge his campaign. I guess he could do that. Well, okay, but if you're a Trump donor, and this is in a way giving him credit, 55% of his campaign's recent funds came in contributions under $200. It's not bad. That Hillary Clinton raised a lot more money from big donors, right? So he raises money from little donors, not only little donors. Now he's doing a lot of big donor, and which is leading to a lot of the corruption we're talking about. But if you're one of those guys who gave your money to Trump, assuming that he was going to spend it on your priorities, and instead he winds up spending it on his hotels so he could put it into his pocket, he sees you as one of the suckers that he's always taken advantage of his whole life. So if you want to keep on giving to that so he can get richer at your expense, well, I guess that's your problem.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.